Welcome back to the Home Team. Right off the bat, I'm going to show you, I think, the best marriage advice I've ever seen. Take a look.
I did the choreography myself.
Hey honey, have you gained some weight in your rear end? The dress you wear reminds me of my old girlfriend. And where'd you get those shoes? I think they're pretty lame. Would you stop talking, cause I'm trying to watch the game? If you're a man who wants to live a long and happy life, these are the things you don't say to your wife.
Okay, so if you take his advice, men, I think you'll have a
very short marriage.
Well, no, he says these are the things you don't say to your wife.
You don't say to your wife.
So
Okay,
I think you'll have a very long marriage if you take his advice. But with we have Dr. Elia Gourgouris here to add his expert opinion to. That was Tim Hawkins on the guitar. Isn't that great?
That's great. That is great. That's exactly what you never want to say to your wife.
Never say those things and you'll be good. All right, so defining the expectations in your relationship is important, and if you can do that before you get married.
See, that's the ideal, but most of us have unrealistic expectations. We go into relationships thinking, what can I get out of this marriage? Which is like it should be exactly the opposite. If you want to be successful, say, what can I do for this marriage? But most of us, have our own needs, and we want to go in and we have some expectations that are unspoken.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when failed expectations happen, that's when pain kicks in.
Yeah. Well, and I think that not only do we have unspoken expectations, that a lot of people go into marriage without even knowing their own expectations. They're just assumptions, and you think this other person's going to know what they are.
Right, that's exactly right.
And so 3 areas that are important to defining the expectations. The first is communication.
Yeah, and communication, you know what the best part of communication really is to make a successful relationship? It's the listening part. A lot of people think, I've got to talk more clearly or clarify, but no, it's listening, and what I call listening with a third ear. Like, listen to what's beyond the words. What's underneath that? What are they really asking you at this time?
That's great. And the second is physical intimacy. I mean, that can be a big source of joy or a source of conflict and pain.
It can be the greatest source of joy, actually. It's a way of expressing our love and uniting us as a couple. But I know that when things don't go right in the bedroom, serious problems occur in the marriage. Mm-hmm. And most of us are a little bit uncomfortable about talking about intimacy in detail with our future spouses or after we get married.
Yeah, but it's an important conversation to have.
It's a very important conversation to have. But if you do it preventatively, I had one couple that came in and they were so cute. They were just adorable. They have saved themselves for marriage. They were like... And I started in some premarital coaching. I asked him, I said, well, what are your expectations just in terms of frequency, just to get things started? And he leaned closer and said, every day. that was his expectation, right? That's what he said. But when I asked him the question, I was looking at his future spouse, and her face turned totally white. I thought to myself, uh-oh. And I said, well, what are your expectations? And she kind of said, well, I was thinking more like once a month.
That's a big difference.
That's a big difference starting off. Yeah. But because they were able to communicate up front, and there was a huge gap, luckily this young man gave the best answer I've ever heard from any man of any age give to his future spouse. He says, you know what? We have the rest of our lives. We will go at your pace. And you could see all the fear, all the concern that she had just left her. And they were able to work things out.
And they probably... were intimate more often than once a month.
I'm sure they were.
because of his response to that.
Yeah, because she was very loving and very kind. He said, we'll just go at your pace. We have the rest of our lives. So that's very wise. He was in his early 20s. I was astounded at his answer.
Yeah,
actually.
you're like, thanks for teaching me how to respond
he did.
to that.
He gave the best answer I've ever heard.
Yeah, wonderful. And lastly, you suggest finances. And Dr. Brindley mentioned this earlier. Money, so important to talk about.
And especially in today's society, what's happening in the world today, finances are very, very important. And again, define the expectations up front and make sure you make mutual decisions in the big stuff. I'm not talking about micromanaging how much you spend, groceries. I'm talking about the big expenses, whether it's buying a home or a car, no credit card debt if you can help it, unless it's for a school loan or something if you're starting off early. Because if you make a decision independent of your spouse, and it doesn't work out, you're going to get the blame. If it does work out, you're going to say, see, I'm right, but you're up here and she's down here. So you got to make sure that the decisions are mutual.
Yeah.
So when they work out, you're both proud. Exactly.
Yeah.
A true partnership.
Wonderful. Well, where can our viewers get more information about your coaching?
They can go to ldscoaching.com, and if they have any questions, they can go to askdrelia.com.
All right. And you have 2 CDs on tape, right?
I do.
Define the relationship.
Define the relationship, what you should know before you get married.
And then multi-platinum marriage.
That's right.
Which is for after the marriage.
Yeah, and going from surviving to thriving.
And they're great. I have them on my iPod and
Thank you.
listen to them. So he's really entertaining, too. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we'll have our Ask Julie segment. We'll answer your questions. We'll be right back.